Hola amigos y amigas, you are now with Jocelyn Valencia with Jocelyn. Welcome to my channel, welcome to my digital space. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, like, comment if you enjoy my video. And if you are a returning subscriber, I love you. Welcome back. Before I get started on this hopefully very informational video for you all, I just want to say a little toast. A little toast to a new year with new good books, great conversations, experiences that expand our awareness, that uplift our spirits, and learning. I don't know about you, but personally, I have just been so eager to learn. There's so much I want to learn about. I want to dive into topics that I've never really touched on before. I'm just so excited for all the learning that is going to take place this year. And I also want to create content that teaches you and guides you to learning about new things, including this video where I'm going to be sharing 5 books with you all, specifically books for those of you who are stepping into this new year with new ideas, with big goals, with a sincere commitment to bringing your dreams, your ideas, your goals to life. These are 5 books that really have helped me, and I made sure to have like a really good kind of diverse selection for you, so I'm really excited to share it with you. So yeah, let's get started. The first book that I want to share with you all is literally one of the tiniest books that I own. You can read this book in one sitting. Perfect for those of you who aren't huge readers, but although this is a small book, it is quite mighty. It's called The Dip by Seth Godin. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I don't know if I'm being extra and making it bougie for no reason. But what caught my attention to this book initially was this short description that's on the cover that says, a little book that teaches you when to quit and when to stick. And at the time when I stumbled upon this book, I was in this phase as an entrepreneur myself of being in the midst of a few businesses, of ideas, of options towards different pathways, and not knowing if I was on the right path, not knowing if it was time for me to quit. And I'm so happy that I stumbled upon this book because it honestly gave me the clarity that I needed. Now, for those of you who may not necessarily be in a phase of your life where you're wondering whether or not you should quit something, it's still, I feel, a necessary read for anyone and everyone who runs a business, who is thinking of running a business, who is thinking about pursuing your ideas more seriously. Anyone who is just starting a new path in any way, shape, or form. Because not only does this book give you some insight on when you should probably quit, but it also gives you insight on whether or not you're actually on the right path. And I love that. And I just love that Seth was able to offer such a grand insight on these things in such a concise and small way in this very tiny book. I'm going to open this book on a random page because I'm one of those people, by the way, that underlines like my favorite lines in the book, and I've actually gotten so good at doing that I can go back to books I've already read and just read the underlined parts and do that in one sitting for no matter how big the book is, and feel like I've reread the book the whole way. So let's see, I'm gonna stumble upon a page and see what, I stumble upon. So this is what I underlined on page 19. Scarcity, as we've seen, is the secret to value. Interesting. Successful people don't just ride out the dip. They don't just buckle down and survive it. No, they lean into the dip. They push harder, changing the rules as they go. Just because you know you're in the dip doesn't mean you have to live happily with it. Dips don't last quite as long when you whittle at them. Low-key, I think I'm gonna reread this after this video because I'm remembering just how much I love this book. So the reason why it's called The Dip is because whenever you're pursuing an idea, whenever you start a business or are running a business or are creating something from the ground up, you're always going to hit rough patches along the road. And especially when you are right before achieving something very, very big for yourself. And it feels like a dip. And there's some graphs in here where he explains more on this concept of the dip. But essentially, Seth is encouraging you, if you are on the right path, to not quit when you are in the dip. So this is a book, without saying too much more, that I highly recommend. The next book that I am recommending to all of you who are stepping into this new year with ideas and goals and a commitment to creating something from scratch is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Now, I think that I have recommended this book in a previous video where I'm doing book recommendations. I read this book last year. I was heavy on the books in 2020, and I plan on being even heavier with the books this year. So expect more of these videos. But I don't know if you've heard of this concept before, or this value really, but something that is very, 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 very important for those that are pursuing their own ideas is to make sure that when you are in the beginning process, when you are in the planning process, in the brainstorming of your idea, of your project, of your business, is asking yourself why, is starting with why. And asking yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Why do I want to pursue this? Why is this something that I want to invest my time and energy into? And Simon Sinek literally spent, I don't know the man, so I'm not going to say his whole life, but a large chunk of his life diving into the importance of starting with why, the importance of your why, of having your why. So I don't know if you've heard of make sure you have your why before, but it's so important, and I really, really highly recommend. I highly recommend all of these books that I'm sharing with you, but this is just so, so good and perfect for anyone who is starting. I'm gonna do the same thing with this book and see what I stumbled upon. Okay. On page 104, I underlined, if there were no trust, then no one would take risks. No risks would mean no exploration, no experimentation, and no advancement of the society as a whole. And what follows is for some more clarity. That's a remarkable concept. Only when individuals can trust the culture or organization will they take personal risks in order to advance that culture or organization as a whole, for no other reason than, in the end, it's good for their own personal health and survival. So again, Simon does a really, because he dedicated so much of his time studying your why and the importance of having one, he really dives into not only creating your why and what that looks like, but how it benefits you and your business and your idea and your project in the long run. And here he's talking about consumers and how consumers are more called to build trust with you, build trust in you, in your product, in your brand, when you not only have a why, but share your why passionately through your brand voice, through your promoting, through every avenue of your idea or business. And so here he's talking about how people, when they reach a certain level of trust in you and your brand and whatever it is that you are sharing with the world, when they reach a certain level of trust with you, because you have been so good at sharing your why, they're willing to take risks to continue supporting you, and they're there with you in the long run. So it's really a super insightful book. I really, really love it. Really, really good book. Really recommend. The next book that I'm highly recommending to you all, which, by the way, I am so excited for you. Like, you are watching this video either because you're interested in books, you are desiring to start read books more, or because you personally are going to be creating and investing in yourself by pursuing an idea, by really committing to pursuing your dream or pursuing, building a goal. So I'm so excited for you. I had to put that out there. So this third book is Big Magic. Not the newest book, but this book is by Elizabeth Gilbert, and I've actually been meaning to dive into more of her books. She is also the author of Eat, Pray, Love. Incredible writer. I love her voice as a writer. It just, I don't know, her voice just feels like a warm hug. I don't know how else to explain it. But this is one of my all-time favorite books. I've been meaning to, aside from exploring her other books, to reread this one. I really want this to be one of those books that I revisit often, especially as a creative. So this book, I had to add it to these top 5 books and to this video, especially and specifically for those of you who are gonna get into creative avenues, because being creative, being an artist, putting yourself out there is fun. But when you're really, really pursuing it, and when you're really not only even just initially stepping into it, but when you're really in it for the long run, when you're really in the journey, fear is gonna come up, doubts are gonna come up, obstacles are gonna come up. And it's just such a perfect book for creatives and being encouraged and remembering why it is that you invested in a creative journey in the first place. And it's just a really beautiful book about creativity and being someone who creates. So I really highly recommend this book. I hope to one day stumble upon meeting Elizabeth Gilbert and aligning with her just so I can personally thank her for this book. That's how special it is to me. I'm reading the back. It's short, so let me just read it to you really quick. Readers of all ages and walks of life have drawn inspiration and empowerment from Elizabeth Gilbert's books for years. Now, this beloved author digs deep into her generative process to share her wisdom and unique perspective on creativity. With profound empathy and radiant generosity, she offers potent insights into the mysterious nature of inspiration. Whether we are looking to write a book, make art, find new ways to address challenges in our work, embark on a dream long deferred, or simply infuse our everyday lives with more mindfulness and passion, Big Magic cracks open a world of wonder and joy. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Hopefully that gave you some more clarity on this book. Let's see. The one thing I underlined on this page, 166, is perfectionism stops people from completing their work. And let me add, perfectionism also stops people from even starting, right? Yeah. Oh, and that's what follows what I wrote, what I underlined. Perfectionism stops people from completing their work, yes, but even worse, it often stops people from beginning their work. Perfectionists often decide in advance that the end product is never going to be satisfactory, so they don't even bother trying to be creative in the first place. Yeah. Let me do another one. Share whatever you are driven to share. If it's authentic enough, believe me, it will feel original. I love that. I was literally, when I was getting ready to do this video and I was like looking in the mirror, I was literally thinking to myself like, wow, imagine I never started a podcast. Imagine I never started this YouTube channel because it wasn't original or because so many other people were doing it. Like, whatever I share and create in the world feels so me. And I am just so unique that even though so many other people have podcasts and so many other people have agencies and so many other people have channels and blah, 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 like my channel still feels very original. My podcast still feels very original. And I can't imagine now that I've finally invested in doing these things just last year, I can't imagine like not doing it. And to think that, you know, perfectionism and fear of not being original, I guess is one way to put it, stopped me for so many years and delayed my beginning for my podcast and my channel. Wow, how serendipitous. Beautiful book. Highly recommend. So, one of my favorite genres of books is biographies, and especially autobiographies when they're written in first person. I don't know why. I mean, just knowing about people's come-ups and struggles and overcomings has been something I've always been passionately interested about. And there is no way that we could be talking about pursuing dreams, having courage, taking risks, investing in yourself, and not bring up this book, a memoir of the creator of Nike, Phil Knight. This book is called Shoe Dog. And oh my goodness, it is literally one of my favorite books, one of the best books I've ever read. And I've always been a fan of Nike, but I became an even bigger fan of Nike after reading this book and knowing the backstory of it, knowing everything that Phil Knight went through to bring Nike to where it is today. If you're not interested in reading about other people's lives, or if you're daunted by the size of this book, trust me, I'm telling you, this is a must read for everyone who is pursuing a dream, pursuing an idea. Man, Phil Knight went through it. I mean, the risks that he took, the sacrifices that he made, the obstacles that he was faced with are obstacles that would have stopped so many people from moving forward and from just, yeah, they would have quit. I honestly, there were some things I read where I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that Phil Knight did that. Wow, Phil Knight, I love you. You are so inspiring. I hope I get to meet you one day and exchange energy with you and just, man, congratulate you on everything. You deserve all the success that you are experiencing with Nike. This book, I mean, is just so good about, it's like not only such a good come up story, but it's also a really good business book. Like, you gain so much insight on not only pursuing an idea, investing in yourself, taking risks, blah, 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 but you also get insight on what happens when you start experiencing growth. What obstacles do you begin to face? And it's just really inspiring, insightful book. And honestly, when I finished reading this, I started crying. And when I started getting towards the end of the book, I started reading slower and slower because I didn't want it to end. Please read this book. Highly recommend it. So good. So good. Phil Knight and everyone who was a part of creating this book and bringing this book to life, thank you so much, because truly it is a come up story that everyone should read. Everyone should read. Lastly, but not leastly, is this book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. And there's just absolutely no way that we could be talking about finally pursuing our ideas, finally going after our goals and our big dreams, and not talk about habits and making changes to our lifestyle and our day-to-day. Because if you are really serious and committed and dedicated to pursuing newness in any way in your life, then some things are gonna have to change, especially your habits. And so I just had to recommend this book. I had to add it to the 5 book recommendations that I am giving to you. And I do want to say that I'm very impressed with James Clear and the way that he expressed habits and delivered this book, because he not only talks about making all the changes, all the necessary changes in your life to become more efficient, to become more aligned with a path that gives you incredible results. But James Clear understands that it's not easy to shift your habits, to let go of habits that you may have had your whole life. And so he does a very awesome job at giving you examples, at providing graphs, at providing just providing examples and just all that good stuff that you need to really understand not only how to adopt new habits, but how to let go of the ones that you need to let go of. And one thing that I love about this book, that I love when it is incorporated in any book, is the chapter summary. So at the end of every chapter, he has a summary of what that chapter is. So you don't even need to do any underlining or annotating or any of that. You can refer back to this book, just look at the chapter summary at the end of every chapter and be immediately reminded of all the delicious, important things that you need to know about your habits. It really is a really good book. I myself don't consider myself to be someone to have bad habits, so I was hesitant about reading this book at first, but I'm really glad that I did and I gave it a chance. And yes, it is kind of a hefty book, but it's such an easy read and it really is so worth it. And it's just something really good to have in your home. Like, I look at books like tools, and especially the self-development ones, because you have it in your home, and if you're in a season in your life where you find yourself, you know, in some kind of season where you have a book that can help you, it comes in handy. And I think this is one of those books that is just really nice to have in your home. Let's see what book page I flipped to. How to use temptation bundling to make your habits more attractive. Temptation bundling works by linking an action you want to do with an action you need to do. Right. Yeah, so this is just an example of James Clear giving you a way in which you can make it easier for yourself to adopt a new habit in your life. Again, we could not be talking about goals and dreams and businesses and ideas and all of that new stuff and not talk about habits. So I had to incorporate this, and I highly recommend. So that is all. I hope that you all enjoyed these book recommendations and that you end up walking away from this video with one or more of these books on your book list, in your shopping cart. Do try to buy books from your local bookstore, and try to avoid Amazon as much as possible. Yeah, I love books, and I just want to say, again, I know I mentioned this early in the video, but if you are here because you are serious about pursuing some new idea that you have, or an old idea that you've never given a chance to, I just want to say that I'm so proud of you, and we need you. We need that. We need you to be pursuing your passions. We need more passionate people in this world, and I am here to congratulate you ahead of time, and also to really encourage you and remind you that it is totally possible. You can totally do it, and I 100% believe in you. Again, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this video. Leave some book recommendations for myself in the comments below. I love getting book recommendations. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day or night, whenever it is that you're watching this. Bye.